Welcome, everyone, for this special edition of Tim Talks. I am so excited to have my buddy, Brian Pasch with us today, coming off a huge DMSC. I believe, Brian, you said there was, what, 650 people there? Is that correct?
That's right. We had about 350 dealership employees. And then we had a number of leaders from the automotive community, from OEMs, from the supplier. So this would be the largest event, and of course, our first big virtual event.
Awesome. And I called both. I can't imagine. I know what it takes just to do, a weekly show and sometimes bi-weekly, all of the things that go into putting on that show. And I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you did not have a chance to go to DMSC, can people still, is there a possibility of still purchasing tickets? Because I know it's available for 30 days. Is it possible to still purchase tickets?
Yes, they can go right to digitalmarketingstrategies.org. It will redirect them to the event platform. They can buy tickets, and there's over 40 different sessions. That would be keynotes, panels, workshops, and training that they would have access to. So the content is amazing. The delivery came out awesome. So yes, this is a full education platform for dealers.
Yeah, and I'm so excited because we always talk about, on Tim Talks, we truly want to be the grocery store. When you go to the grocery store, we want to put things in the cart. We want to make sure that you can go home and cook dinner right now. So we have the privilege of talking to you right now. So can you give us, there's a couple things I want to touch on. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, and I see several of you still coming in now. If you have questions, please ask those questions, chat in those questions. Bring them on. We will try to answer these questions and try to stump Brian. Try to stump him maybe with something.
That's impossible.
It is impossible. But no, in all seriousness, just an amazing show. Our session, obviously, just Andy Wright, Jim Grodi, Sarah Fisher just absolutely crushed it. But let's just start here. When you say, and we've adopted that saying, I use it almost every time I have the privilege to communicate. When you say stop chasing your customers and start serving them, unpack that for us. What is that? What is Brian Pasch's translation of that?
Well, for years prior to COVID, most dealers, even though they called their website their virtual showroom, really used it only as flypaper to get leads. And the goal was to get them into the dealership. And we never really thought that, gee, that's kind of odd because, well, consumers didn't have any other choice and everyone was doing it. COVID broke that mold. And so dealers started answering consumers when they're on their website, meaning for the first time, COVID forced dealers to staff their virtual showroom. And what does it look like? Well, if you think of it today, when somebody markets their dealership, someone goes to their website, they have a question, and we put up a form, and it's basically saying to the consumer, no one's here to help you right now. We'll get back to you at some other time. And then we chase them into BDC. What we've been pioneering for the last 2 years with companies like yours and other messaging companies is let's replace that CTA button, unlock price, get e-price, confirm availability, make your best offer, with a conversation, meaning serve the customer, assist the customer when they're on their website. That's what we do when they walk into our physical showroom. And this whole movement of removing forms and starting conversations was one of the hottest topics at DMSC.
Absolutely, and again, just not us. My friend Joe Chura at Dealer Inspire, we happened to be on one of your panels during DMSC, right. And we both literally looked at each other and said, it's past, it's not even debatable. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not even debatable. When you take forms off your website, it is, the engagement is better. In fact, we started about a year ago, nearly a year ago to the day, we piloted 9 dealerships. And when we took over CTAs like Get ePrice, Schedule a Test Drive, now we've talked about Pre-Qualify and others. When we did just 2 of those, actually, just Schedule a Test Drive and Get ePrice, we saw 132% increase in lead conversions. You know, Jim Grodi, who I believe is listening now, at your store at York in Toledo, big FCA stores, big stores, and he kind of laughed. They sold 7 out of 7. Now he said it didn't end up that way. They didn't continue to bat 1,000. But just is it a magic wand? No. Do you still have to love on those customers, differentiate your store? But when you stop putting roadblocks in front of your dealership, consumers will respond to it. So something else that, you know, if someone missed, obviously, I'm sure maybe there's a few people that saw all 40 plus sessions, but what really stood out to you? If you know, Brian, you were getting ready to, somebody gave you a ton of, you know, a wheelbarrow full of money and said, I want you to run my store. You know, some of the new things, the innovative things that we've learned from this past DMSC, what would you want to make absolutely sure, step 1, 2, and 3 that you did?
Sure. I think one of the bigger themes was to simplify the website and create a brand promise. So when we say simplify a website, the average car dealer's website has anywhere from 6 to 8 call to action buttons per VDP. And we want to move that down to basically 3. And that we should call the digital retailing technology, the buy now button, meaning car now, buy now, call it something, whether it's fast lane or fast track or fast pass or easy pass, something to actually drive consumers through it, market it. So simplify and market your online or remote retailing experience. I think that was a huge theme. Second is the use of video to communicate or educate the local market. And there's really some tremendous conversations about the use of video and especially OTT video channels to really increase the awareness. I think that was a big secondary theme. And the third, which would make sense for a digital marketing strategies conference, some new uses of data to inspect your sales process, to inspect the effectiveness of your marketing, and to do smarter marketing. I think these were some of the overall themes that were really compelling to dealers.
And you know, we've got case studies like that. You know, we had Newton Nissan on with us, and when you talk about simplifying the VDP, you know, taking buttons, making it, you used the illustration a couple years ago about a mattress, and you know, the simple process, the clean process, and just our friends at Newton Nissan, how that literally just catapulted their engagement with their consumers. You know, we talked about Sarah Fisher, and those numbers. In fact, I'm going to give you a little secret. We are actually going to be talking the 2 most viewed sessions in DMSC were, number 1, Bob Lanham, my dear buddy, the head of auto retail for Facebook, that little company called Facebook. He was the number 1, please correct me if I'm wrong, number 1 viewed session in DMSC. And the future of automotive retail was the number 2 watched, number 2 viewed session. And we are going to take the stars of both of those, which definitely wasn't me. Everybody wants to listen to Sarah. We're going to take Bob Lanham and we're going to take Sarah Fisher. We're putting them in a room and you can ask away because the numbers that we saw with Newton Nissan and the numbers that we saw with Sarah Fisher and Don Franklin, when you can go in and you said it a lot, Brian, and it's just so true. You said 3 or 4 years ago when we started doing the AEC tours, you know, and not mentioning any names, but vendors walk into your dealership with a self-generated report. They put it down in front of you and say, man, you crushed it yesterday or last month. And you look at it, you know, well, how did I crush it? Well, you got this many VDP clicks and you've got this. But in the case of Sarah Fisher, year over year, let me say that again, 3,000 unit increase. 3,000 unit increase in what you do. She's going to give you step by step. And this time we only had a few minutes to answer questions. We're going to do that, guys, next week. I'll be announcing that later where we can unpack that, but just absolutely fabulous. Let's talk about OTT. You know, a lot of managers, and I had the privilege to talk to your brother on a leadership call. And he's got, in fact, if you're listening, Glenn Pasch has a fabulous new podcast, and I believe the title, and I don't want to mess this up, is so now you're in charge. So now what? Is that what he's calling it?
That's right.
So he's got a bunch of he's got great people that are coming on there, but that happens in our business. So I'm getting to a question in a second, Brian, but people do a great job of selling cars, or maybe they're in the business office and then they get promoted and they have no idea what even OTT stands for, or marketing. And we expect these guys that barely got out of high school. I'm not being ugly. I'm one of those guys, to understand and run $1 million media budgets and handle all this stuff. So what would you say, a basic, 1, 2, 3 step on OTT and branding like Sarah did, making sure that whatever that customer sees, whether it's a commercial or a billboard, or they go on your website, it looks the same. But maybe unpack that a little bit more for us, Brian.
Sure. There's a lot of confusion with OTT or over the top. This is the cord cutters, the ability to reach consumers who are not absorbing their video content through a normal cable box. In fact, Effective, formerly called Comcast Spotlight, put together a great PDF, which is called OTT 123. It reminded me of the old Jackson 5, ABC 123. Yes. So if anyone who's listening today would like a copy of that, you can just email brian@brianpasch.com and I'll send you that OTT 123 PDF. What I want to communicate is that there are a lot of people who are selling OTT solutions, and some of them are very, very good, and some of them are a little murky, meaning there is a difference when you buy video packages directly through your local cable provider, because they have some premium and exclusive content and delivery. And then, of course, they buy on the open network. And then other agencies buy, like with a trade desk solution. What was interesting about the OTT conversation is that the targeting of OTT can be done more digitally. And we heard an amazing case study from Dean Evans, and he was talking about a dealer group in Minnesota that took advantage of their exclusive data audience from Cars.com. This was the Walzer Automotive Group, and they used their data, Cars.com's data, to deliver their video message, which was their digital retailing message, their service message, their trade-in message over the last 3 months. Grew market share 4% one month, 6% another month, wow. 4% another month, which is crazy. To even get a 1% market share increase is fabulous. So what do we know? If we need to communicate to consumers that there's a new way to buy a car, we're making it easier, faster, mostly online with products like Car Now, Buy Now. We have to do it through video. And if we are only doing linear, if we're only doing, say, news, there's no really live sports right now. Right. We're only going to reach a smaller segment of the audience. So there are 3 powerful workshops as part of DMSC. I think actually 4, 2 by Effective, 1 by the team at Dealer eProcess, and Dean's keynote talking about the fuel product. Those 4 workshops would be worth the money alone just in registration to get a clear picture on what OTT capabilities, targeting, and measurement can be.
And that was actually our first question. What is OTT video? And I believe you just knocked that one out of the park. So, and is there, Brian, who do you recommend? Is it Spec? I mean, who have you seen, with with Walzer? Obviously, I guess it was with Cart, but what have you seen? What should people take maybe close attention to?
What's very interesting is that, and I really didn't understand this a few years ago, but in the traditional cable business, there's really no competition. So in
Right,
certain parts of the country, you're either a Spectrum Reach client,
right,
you're an effective client, or say a Cox Media client, right? So going direct to the, basically what it is, exclusive cable provider has always allowed you to get some premium content. What
got
has
it.
been murkier is that with these trade desk solutions, with the fact that Amazon, right, Amazon Fire TVs, you can advertise on Amazon Fire, which means Spectrum can buy it and Comcast can buy it and Cox can buy it, or you can buy it direct. So what we need to understand is the data targeting piece. Who has the better targeting? And I would say that the case study from cars.com was the most compelling, but they only sell zip codes exclusively. So if, for example, Walzer bought all the zip codes in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, no other dealer can get in that. So in that particular market, I think that is I think that could be a Spectrum Reach zone. They would need to go to their, Spectrum Reach and say, how do you use your data targeting? How can I overlay my DMS and CRM data to create a better audience and targeting solution? So, and of course, our agency works with everyone. So if dealers are just looking for a more competent agency relationship for their paid search and social and OTT video, they can reach out, to me to talk about how we work with dealers direct.
That's awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's about putting together the whole package. I mean, I know that, the recent months, it's been this roller coaster. I mean, it's been, I've said it before, March is, oh my gosh, the sky's falling, to April and May, setting records. June into July, still setting records, to, Georgia, Texas, Florida. I just got a note from my pastor saying that, you know what, we're going to stay virtual till the end of the year just to be safe. So now these things are happening all around us. So we thought we were out of it. This isn't scare tactic. This isn't, but things are different. We have to think outside of the box, and normal people still are going into the dealership, but things may change very soon. And it's better to be ready for it and train your people and make sure that you are ready to adapt to what possibly could be the new norm, as things may not continue to open up in various states as these things go up. What do you think the main thing, Brian, is in this current climate through COVID? What are the best things that you have seen that people are doing that has excited you, quite frankly, the most on even when we get out of this? And ladies and gentlemen, look, I'm a half full guy. We are going to get out of this. You guys know this. For 90 days, you've been killing it. You've been selling cars. Quite frankly, you've been selling so many cars, you're running out of inventory. So with all of that, what has really stood out to you in the quote unquote COVID crisis? We're out of it now. We're sniffing around the corner. We might be, turning the dial back up that you have seen.
Well, I think the use of video is one of the cooler things. The COVID crisis got over very quickly the creepiness of seeing people in their home, what the inside of their house looked like, the fact that my parents are on Zoom meetings, Carrie's dad has weekly now Zoom calls with their family. Everyone is now comfortable with this idea of video conferencing, video chat, and even Zoom has become a verb. With that said, what I'm really like is that a lot of dealers, either through platforms like yourself or whether they have a free Zoom account for each sales associate, right? They can be free as long as the session is no longer than 45 minutes. They're answering leads like from a Cars.com, a Car Gurus, an Auto Trader, KBB, Edmunds, and say, hey, we have the car. I'm sure that you have a lot of questions. It may be easier for us to have a quick little video chat. Here's my Zoom link. Just click it and let's chat. What's happening is that dealers are getting more creative. They're doing screen shares. They're showing, like using Darwin. We heard that a lot. Darwin. A to Z Sync. We're hearing that. Chip Perry just went to these companies that are really good with that showroom process, and they're teaching the sales associates how to use video. We heard from Gina Walsh. He's using Microsoft Teams. So what I'm excited about is that we are going to see another, kind of lockdown period, and remote selling is not going away. So right. The fact that CarNow has always had an integrated messaging platform, always linked online retailing with communication, I think the advent of using video as part of the bonding, creating, an emotional commitment between the buyer and seller, that's really cool to see.
It's funny, at CarNow, we've had that technology, quite frankly, since 2014. A lot of people don't know. I mean, we've had video always, but as far as, click to video chat, and I won't mention the company's name, but there was another company that was coming out around the same time. And, as an executive team in 2014 now, 2014 and 15, we sat around and the technology's been there. We had the ability to just flip the switch and turn it on as far as if someone's chatting and they wanted to, but we thought, I mean, goodness, what if you're, in your robe? I mean, people are chatting with you for a reason. They don't want to see you in your hair in curlers. I put mine in curlers nightly. So no one needs to see that, cucumbers on the eyes. No one needs to see that. So we saw, let's just keep it to the side. And what we have seen now that, so you don't have to use Microsoft, or you don't have to use Zoom, you have the ability just to click. Obviously, we initiate it, and the salesperson or the sales manager can walk around that car that they're inspecting, show that, maybe tiny little scratch or dent on that particular car. So that is getting a lot more traction as we re-release, I guess you should say, now in the weeks to come. So that for us, going from no one wants to see anybody with curlers in their hair to oh my gosh, Zoom is blowing up, and this is something that I think dealers not only will use, but they have to use to survive, quite frankly, moving forward. Because what we're doing now, and I think you've got many examples of this. I said this before. There was a dealer in New York. I mean, right in the middle of April, when everything in New York was shut down. He was in upstate New York in Albany. And he sends a text and he says, listen, I've been kicking the can for a long time. And, but he said, hashtag, we need you, because he was taking deposits through our tool. And he's like, I believe I'm training not only my people, but my customers to shop this way. And I don't think it's ever going back. I mean, it's just, which quite frankly, for me, listening to this, it was almost spiritual. It was like that we're truly, and I told our team, we're not selling software anymore. We're truly, we're selling, we're serving people. And now that things are opened up, we're getting into that habit. So it's exciting to see. I've been in this car business since 1989. The first car I sold was a 3-door light blue, robin's egg blue GS Hyundai Excel that I think was about $6,000. Hot car. And things have changed. So it's very, very exciting to see. Brian, as we land the plane, I just want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you need, I just wanted to do a recap. If you need anything at all, please reach out to Brian. If you need help on OTT, talk to his team at PCG. I will tell you this. This is not a commercial for CarNow. Quite frankly, this is not really a commercial for PCG, but I like to do business with people that are just, quite frankly, good people. And if you're not, if you're worried about, how much market spend, pay-per-click, all this other stuff, I would truly encourage you to reach out to the team at PCG and see what they could do to help you. And obviously, any questions that that Brian can answer for you, I'm sure he will. Brian, any closing thoughts as we land the plane?
Sure. As we just finished DMSC, it's kind of interesting to talk about our upcoming conference, but normally DMSC was in May, and the Automotive Analytics and Attribution Summit is in November. Well, we were hoping, right, in March, we were hoping that June would be fine. We pushed the DMSC conference to June, and then we realized, no, this is not going to happen, and we just completed it this week. Our November conference is slated to be held at the Breakers in Florida, but the way Florida's trajectory is looking, it looks like it will be another virtual conference, and our two well-loved conferences for 2020 will be virtual. We are excited to let dealers know that we learned so much from DMSC that we're going to add 3 things, because some of you were participating in DMSC. So 3 things we got so far from people that were major shifts. Number 1, the ability to allow people to call in and ask panelists or keynote speaker questions just like they would in a big ballroom. So we're going to have a dial-in and have a queue, and we're going to allow more time for Q&A and phone call, because some people don't really want to chat long, questions. So I thought that was really cool. Number 2, we're going to put virtual speaker meet and greets. What happens, for example, Sarah Fisher was a rock star, right? Gina Walsh, rock star. They gave a lot of specific data, and dealers wanted to talk with them more, right? But, the sessions backed up. So we're going to set up speaker meet rooms where after a speaker presents, people can go into the speaker meeting room, and while the fresh questions are in their head, they can meet. We think that's going to be really important,
great.
to have, more engagement with the speakers. We're also going to space out the sessions a little bit more to allow more engagement and follow up with our sponsors, because there was really a jam-packed schedule. So people wanted maybe a little breather and chance maybe after, for example, they saw the Cars.com presentation with Dean, they wanted to go to the Cars.com booth and ask some questions. So we're making some tweaks. So we're really excited. So take note that in November, the Automotive Analytics and Attribution Summit will likely be a full virtual event. And we're really excited because what we learned is that a lot of the dealers loved the bonus day, the 3rd day of hands-on workshops that I was doing. And so we're going to have a lot of really cool topics this year to allow people to have the full conference experience plus the training. So look for some information on that. And Tim, as soon as we have all the final details, you'll be one of the first to know.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian, for, listen, it's exciting because you can literally, you talk about a grocery store. I mean, it's a Costco, it's a Sam's. And quite frankly, I got to admit, going into DMSC, and I think you were too. A lot of us were like, I wonder how this is going to be.
Yeah, we didn't know.
And literally, if you did not have the chance, it was click the lobby. Just like you were there. What's going on in the lobby? What's going on main stage? What's coming up? And everything is right there. It literally, I truly was blown away. I want to give you a hint. We are going to do our normal Tim Talks at Tuesday at 2 with Josh Mitchell, the BDC Raw, the BDC Beast. We're going to be with him at Tuesday at 2. And then we're going to be listen for a special announcement. It's coming next week. We are going to get your questions ready. The 2 most attended DMSC sessions, Bob Lamb at Facebook, the future of automotive retail, Sarah Fisher, get your questions ready. Any questions on pivot tables, anything you have at all for Facebook Marketplace, please bring it next week. I'm going to announce when that's coming. Don't miss Tim Talks Tuesday. Don't miss this another special edition, because we truly are just trying to, look, you don't need to see my goofy face. We're just trying to pour on you as much information to truly serve you, our dealer friends, to get through this, and not just get through this, but stink and dominate your market. Brian, thank you so much again, brother.
My pleasure, Tim.
I can't thank you enough. You're a dear friend, and you have a true heart for dealers and getting everybody together. And speaking of which, as we always say, no one is smarter than everyone. So guys, let's just try to get better together. We'll see you next week. Thank you.